Yeah.
breath.
Okay, I'll start now. So this evening, welcome everybody, and everybody online, because I know that other people do listen to this. And tonight, I especially wanted to do something towards pain, fatigue, illness, and it's called a compassionate acceptance meditation. And for those of you who are associated with breathworks, it's a really key meditation, and it's really, really lovely. So I make no apologies about the fact you will have heard it before, because I just think it's just so nice. And for those of you who listen to it new, that hopefully you'll like it as much. So I wanted to start just saying a bit about Vidyamala Birch, because she's the founder of Breathworks, who I trained with in mindfulness. And she recently, last year, got an OBE. And she was very sporty, very outdoor girl in New Zealand growing up, wanted to be a wildlife officer. But unfortunately, she had an accident age about 16, 17, and then more accidents, car accidents in her 20s. And each time damaging her back and getting into more and more trouble physically and intensive care. And she ends up in intensive care in intolerable pain. And she didn't know how she'd get through that night. And then suddenly a little voice said to her, "You don't have to get through to the morning. You just have to live this moment and this one and this one." And it opened her eyes to how she could cope better with difficulties, physical or otherwise. And so from then on, she became an advocate for mindfulness. And despite extreme pain and disability, she has a wonderful, you'd say, quality of life. And she's done so many things. And she goes around helping others discover these amazing tools of mindfulness to transform your life. And she says, just live this moment as fully as you can. Future is a dream, past is a memory. The only moment we can live is now. And I just think that is lovely. And I also think when we're in pain and we just think, just this moment, that's all I have to get through, is really, really helpful. I know when I've had things like a severe migraine, it's just this moment. And I just thought I'd start with a tiny little quote before I go into the meditation. And it's all about being kind to yourself. This quote's by Allen Ginsberg, a poet. "The suffering itself is not so bad. It's the resentment against suffering that is the real pain." So I'm going to do a little meditation. So if you would like to just get yourself comfortable, and I'll start. You can turn your video off if you like. I'll make a big dong to make sure you wake up and come back. But yeah, I'll start now. So when you're ready, you might like to just settle down, close your eyes, or point your direction just to one point, either on the ceiling if you're lying down or on the floor, whichever's comfortable. And just start settling away from your busy days and into this present moment and space, sinking down into gravity. Noticing your body lying, the gravity pulling you down if you're lying on a bed, sinking into gravity. Always sounds really nice to me. Maybe your back against the bed, your legs against the mattress, or your bottom on the chair, your back against the back of the chair, And as I'm doing this, do not worry at all about if you have to move. We're not expected in meditation to lie completely still in torture. And just settle down into this moment. And see if, to start with, you can notice your breath. That wonderful breath. Just going in, going out. Little rhythm of the wave of a breath. Not needing to do anything at all. Just notice how your breath goes in and your breath goes out. See if you can notice how your body is rocked as you breathe in and out. So see if you can really visualize it as something kind, a kindly, compassionate breath, just gently rocking you. You've probably all had busy days or painful days. And just take this moment to notice that wonderful breath, soothing your body. And as you're doing this, you may notice that there's some pain or discomfort in certain areas. Or you may notice that some of your thoughts aren't too great, whizzing around. And the reason I say thoughts is because there's a connection between the thoughts and our body. So if there are distressing thoughts going around, there's probably something not quite right in some part of your body. So really be curious, gently curious, and see if you can notice where there's some discomfort in your body, or pain, or fatigue. And just gently breathe as you start to look at it. And if you had somebody hurting next to you, you'd be comforting them, wouldn't you? You'd be putting your arm around them and saying, it'll be okay, don't worry, whatever that is. It will pass. Maybe just not this moment, but it will pass. And see if you could give yourself that same kind attitude. I see you, I see the pain, I see the discomfort or the tiredness, but it's okay. I'm here, it will pass. And you may want to have a stiff upper lip, and you may want to say, oh, for goodness sake, I don't want to look at that. What are we doing this on Monday evening? And just notice those thoughts and see if you can let them go. And just notice that resistance and see if you can soften it a little bit to look. And you don't have to dive straight into the middle of the pain, but just soften around the edges. And Vidyamala has a really lovely expression about see your resistance as a bale of hay. And as you lean against it, that bale just moves a little bit. And I thought of the hedgehog, and the hedgehog might be lying there. He might be in his bale of hay. And he's just leaned back just a little bit, and he's fallen in, and that hay is looking after him or her. Gently, just ever so gently. And the little hedgehog is realizing it's being held. And see if you could do that with your resistance. Just let it soften a little bit. Just remember the poem that not only is it the pain, but it's the suffering and the extra bits that we give to that suffering. The, I don't want this, this is horrible, this will last forever. I'm so tired, I'm so sad. And just see if you can yield just into a little bed of hay, a little bed of mattress, and breathe kindness into your heart, into your pain. And then ever so gently, because I know that most of you here have practiced mindfulness, so I'm going to ask you to be courageous and just have a little look at that pain. Doesn't matter if it's just for a few seconds, but just go in closer and see what you can notice. And you might notice that actually it's not one solid band of hurt. It might be little ripples, it might be big ripples. And you know, if you look really carefully, you will find that it's not always the same, that it will vary in intensity. And that curiosity, even to something negative, will help you. So see if you can carry on to breathe and observe. If it gets too much, that's fine, just move away. Just move away and maybe listen to the clock ticking and just give yourself a little bit of respite and just be really pleased that you were there for 1 second. Or if it's really numb, just see if you can go in just a little bit closer. Move into that resistance. Especially with emotions, sometimes we don't really want to know, we just feel the pain in our tummy or whatever it is. But just be brave, be curious, and breathe some compassion into whatever we're feeling. And what about the thoughts and emotions swirling around in our heads as we're looking at this pain? Just have a brief look, see if you can not get attached, but just notice, there's resistance. Aha, oh, there's that. Oh gosh, this is awful. Oh, will this ever end? There's a sentence. And just see if you can let it go. And think of Vidyamala's words, which is, you just have to be with it this one moment. And this moment. And this moment. And every time your mind goes, oh, don't be ridiculous, of course, I've got to last the whole evening. Just let it go and be with this moment. Just giving yourself kindness. And I love the little hedgehog. The little hedgehog had a little hot water bottle in the shape of a heart and was hugging it close to warm herself or himself. And all around her were little stars in the sky with hearts, if you look carefully. And suddenly the whole of the world was throwing her compassion. And just as we are in a little group now, maybe we could throw each other compassion and kindness to whatever pain, fatigue, emotional distress the others are suffering. And whatever shows up for you tonight, just see if you can be really tender towards what you've noticed, what you're feeling. And just remember that kindly breath. And in case you're wondering, even a hedgehog's breath is kindly. And if thoughts come up like I don't deserve it or I don't need this, just let them go. And just spend these few minutes just giving yourself kindness and compassion. And a little hot water bottle with a heart wrapped inside your tummy might be a good image. Or on your back, or your head, or your heart, yeah. And then as we get near the end of this meditation, just let go of that focus and move out to being aware of your whole body with all the good bits and the awkward bits and the painful bits. Just this wonderful body that's still here, still breathing. And the wonderful spirit inside you that's just this moment trying really hard, no matter how much resistance they're being given by the mind, but trying really hard to give yourself some kindness. Just this body breathing gently, kindly. And I'll just read a little poem, which some of you will have heard, but I love it. It really resonated with me. And I said softly to my body, I want to be your friend. My body took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. And I said softly to my body, I want to be your friend. My body took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. By a poet called Wahid. So when you're ready, gently open your eyes, come back to the room, wiggle your toes, and shall we stop the recording?